Shalom, I'm Rabbi Michael Panitz, speaking to you from the pulpit of Temple Israel of Norfolk, Virginia. At this time, I'd like to speak to you about a tale of two stars. A tale of two stars. The recent mouthings off of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, in which she compared the mandate to take public health precautions with the Nazis' regulations forcing their Jewish victims to wear the Star of David badge, ought to anger every Jew alive. For me, as perhaps for many of you, this is personal. A story. Throughout my childhood, we would have guests at our Passover Seder. Some guests came for a year or two, and some were steady guests from year to year. One of our regular participants was a lovely lady named Marianne Lehman. She was quiet and cultured. She spoke English with a soft European accent. She did not insert herself into our often spirited Passover table conversations. As children, we knew that she had lost most of her family in the Holocaust, and that we were honored to be her surrogate family for the holidays. Now you're going to see a Jewish star of a particular sort. Here's the story of that star. The Passover after I began my rabbinical studies, this is back in 1978, Marianne gave me an envelope. Opening it, I saw a fabric Star of David, yellow star with black writing in the middle of it with the word J-U-D-E, Jude, which is the German word for Jew. She said to me words to this effect: Michael, I have no family to whom I would pass this along. I know that you will be devoting your life to Jewish education, and so I charge you to use this to teach your students about the Holocaust. Conscious of the pain that was represented in that piece of fabric, I accepted it with all due solemnity, and I promised to put it to the use that Mrs. Lehman requested. And for 4 decades plus, both my wife and I have done exactly that. Now that Jewish star had a particular and evil meaning. Evil people, the Nazis, their willing executioners, their collaborators of various nationalities, used that device to single out Jews so as to facilitate their oppression and ultimately their elimination. A Jewish star of that nature is not an item to be trifled with. It's not an item to be trivialized. It's not a symbol to be diluted by co-opting it for someone's cause du jour. Creating a Jewish star-shaped badge to protest vaccine requirements is guilty on those counts and worse. And that is exactly what's happened in the last couple of weeks. A little search of the internet can show you a picture of the proprietor, reportedly, of the Hat Works store in Nashville, sporting a yellow Jewish Star of David, saying, "Not vaccinated." That's an obscene appropriation of this symbol. The Nazi badge is not at all comparable to the mandate to wear a mask in certain public venues. The mask requirement never singled out people of a particular race or ethnicity or sexual orientation. The mask requirement was for the purpose of public health. The Jewish badge was for the purpose of mass murder. One might be tempted to shrug off the comparison as the loony ravings of an extremist. For after all, Representative Green is the lady who fantasized about Jews starting forest fires in California as a profit-making scheme using their private stock of space-borne lasers. But calling her crazy gives her too much of a pass. It is irresponsible to laugh at anti-Semitism coming from the mouth of an elected representative in the United States Congress. This is worse than stupid. This is evil. We've only recently observed the Memorial Day holiday. Some 200,000 Americans died as part of the struggle in World War II against the Nazis. About 2/3 of the casualties of the war as a whole. It was a desperate struggle against an implacable and all too skillful enemy. Those myriads died to rid the world of Nazism. They did not die so that 3/4 of a century later, bigots, masking the ugliness of their souls by draping themselves in flags and co-opting powerful symbols, could renew the age-old hatred of the Jew. Whatever may be your own political persuasion, you have work to do in your own camp to prevent the spread of anti-Semitism. It is not a time to call out the other side's outrages and be silent about your own allies' failings. Anti-Semitism is on the march today, both from the left and from the right, and of course from Palestinian and some other Arab quarters. For the sake of the martyrs, that those who killed them not enjoy a posthumous victory. For our own sakes, that we should not have to live in terror, that I should not have to hide wearing a kippah in public. For the sake of our children, that the evils of the past not become the reality of the future. Let us defend against the normalization of anti-Semitism. Let us cultivate allies, educate the wavering, and have the strength to confront the Hamans of our generation. This is the task of the day. In the words of the great Rabbi Tarfon, Lo alecha hamalacha ligmor, you are not obliged to complete the task, but neither are you free to desist from it. Amen.